Thank you for joining us tonight at 10. I'm Quentin Smith. After serving his community for nearly 3 decades, the top cop in Starkville has finally decided to turn in his badge. Chief Frank Nichols made the big announcement during today's Board of Aldermen meeting. Nichols will be stepping down at the end of this year. The veteran officer has been with the police department since 1992 and was appointed police chief back in 2014. Nichols says it's been a great ride and he's enjoyed serving the people in his hometown, but he feels now is time for him to move on to the next phase of his life.
It feels good to be able to say that I'm retiring. You know, I started in 1992, of course, and worked my way up through the ranks and was able to be an FBI graduate. So I think I have a very accomplished career. You know, I was told a long time ago by an older police officer who was retiring. He said, "You'll know when it's that time." And that's the way I feel now. I think it's that time for me. Thank you, guys.
And along with being a police officer, Chief Nichols also served his country for 16 years. Starkville residents will soon have a chance to weigh in on a potential annexation ordinance. City leaders voted today to have 2 public hearings to discuss the matter. Now, the city is looking to add territory on the east side of town, down the Highway 182 corridor around the bypass, as well as areas down 182 to 16th Section Road. The first hearing will take place on June 18th. Mayor Lynn Spruill says they're targeting that area because of the amount of growth they've seen there these past few years.
It allows us to have that continued growth because a city has to grow contiguous to its area, and we've had a lot of growth to the east, but it's a fairly narrow corridor because it is flanked on 182 is flanked on either side by Mississippi State University. And so for us to continue to expand to the east, we're going to have to go through that narrow corridor and pick up that area that's already considered to be part of Starkville.
Also during tonight's board meeting, city leaders voted to adopt a 1% hotel and restaurant tax that was approved by voters just last week. Money from the tax will go towards a new sportsplex as well as making improvements to existing parks. Well, the newest Starkville Board Alderman was sworn in today ahead of his first meeting. Ward 5 Alderman Hemp Beatty won the seat in a special election last week. He replaces Patrick Miller, who stepped down from that position back in April. Tupelo police are investigating an early morning shooting. Officers were called to the 2400 block of Renda Street around 2 a.m. for reports of a shooting. When police arrived, they found that shots had been fired into an occupied building. Investigators believe the shooter was in the street. Now, the good news is there were no injuries reported. Police are now on the lookout for a silver or gold Toyota Camry with aftermarket rims. If you have any information on this shooting or this vehicle, you're asked to contact Crime Stoppers of Northeast Mississippi or call the Tupelo Police Department. Well, a year and a half after a Winston County woman was murdered, investigators are still working to get justice for her family. Carol Burnside was shot and killed in her home in January of 2018. Winston County Sheriff Jason Pugh says investigators suspected her husband, Daryl Burnside, was involved early on in this case. He's now in jail in Texas, charged with capital murder in another case. Sheriff Pugh says he expects that trial to get started near the end of this year, and he's hoping the outcome in Texas will lead to justice back here in Mississippi.
I would say that the turn of events in Texas definitely brought things to a head quicker than they may have come to a head otherwise. I do believe that the crime in Texas was to cover up the crime in Mississippi. And after that, I believe that had the crime in Texas not occurred, the victim in Texas would have probably given state's evidence that would have already closed our case in Mississippi.
Sheriff Pugh says the weapon used to kill Burnside was never recovered. Investigators believe it was immediately disposed of after that crime happened. Carol Burnside's daughter, Alika Brown, says January of 2018 changed her life forever. Although no one has been charged in the case, Brown says she won't give up until her mother gets justice.
The person I had been with all my life, just me and her, was gone. And I didn't know how I would do it from that point on, but I'm here.
Alika Brown's life changed in a blink of an eye back in January of 2018. Brown's mom, Carol Burnside, wanted her to come home the night her life tragically ended. At the time, a senior at Alcorn State, she told her mother she would be there Saturday morning when she got off work. Like she promised, she called her mom that morning, but her mom never answered.
My aunt said she went to the bedroom. She didn't see her. She went to the living room. Everything's laid out. Her medicine's laid out, everything. Go to my room. Normally I have the door closed, and it was just like it was. Door was closed. When she opened it, she found her.
She got the news while she was at work.
And I looked, and I read my manager's lips. And she said they just found her mom dead. So I knew right then. And from that point, I feel like I lost a whole half of me.
One of their last conversations they had on the phone was about senseless violence.
It's like, I can't believe this shooting and this gun violence is getting outrageous. This was Friday morning. I talked to her Friday night when she asked me to come home, that we would all meet up at the same time and be there, and then, she was gone later on that night.
Brown says it didn't take long to figure out who could have been responsible for taking away the person she loved the most. She says she believed it was her stepdad, Daryl Burnside.
She told me I would make it home at the same time. That's the reason why she wanted me to come on home. And then when I talked to him, he's, I'm still in Louisiana. But something doesn't add up, because I talked to her and she said you were on the way home. So there's no doubt in my mind who done it.
Brown says her mom always had a smile on her face and never met a stranger. A month after her mother's murder, Brown found out she was expecting.
I don't know how I'm doing it, but I honestly believe that it is her. Because he's hurt up and down, the laughs, his chubby cheeks, he is hurt completely.
This picture is one of the last the mom and daughter took together just 2 months before she was killed. Pictures she says she'll cherish forever, especially since the two never got to take that college graduation picture like they'd planned.
I was about to graduate. We were getting ready for pictures. That's all she had talked about. Thinking we done finally made it, finally paid off. And before I can even walk the line, he took her away from me.
Now, Brown graduated from Alcorn State the same year her mother was killed. Today, her son is 7 months old. Brown says she will not give up hope until the person responsible for killing her mother is behind bars. Well, shifting gears, it is now time to turn our attention over to weather. Meteorologist Kendall Smith is standing by with the first look at our forecast. Kendall?
Yes, Quentin. Well, a nice but warm evening out there. This is taking a look on our Alpha Insurance sky camera in downtown Tupelo, where it's currently 78 degrees, but the dew point is sitting at 68, so it is muggy if you do happen to be out and about this evening. Area-wide temperatures are sitting in the upper 70s, 77 in Starkville, 75 in Louisville, 75 in Amory, and 78 up in Tupelo. And as we go throughout the next few days, summer heat is still in store for us, but we're monitoring the tropics for heavy rainfall late this week on into the weekend. Quentin?
Thanks so much, Kendall. We've told you about some Columbus tornado victims who are still having trouble clearing their property after the February tornado. Well, a local organization started the effort to help, and now more volunteers are pitching in. Our Stephanie Poole caught up with one of those groups and has more.
United Church of Christ volunteers hopped in their vehicles and drove 7 hours to help pile debris and move items in the heart of destroyed Columbus neighborhoods.
Just imagining what that would be like if that was our community. We have been very blessed as far as not immediately experiencing anything of this devastation.
Donald Nettleton says she started volunteering 14 years ago when one of Mississippi's worst natural disasters hit the Gulf Coast.
After I saw the television coverage of Katrina, I was just so moved that I felt I just needed to do something to help people, that I needed to get out of my house, get off my butt, and go do something to actually help those people.
The United Church of Christ volunteer group travels to devastated communities across the country. Community Recovery of Lowndes County helped get the group to travel more than 400 miles from the comfort of their homes in Belleville, Illinois, just outside St. Louis. This week, they'll help some Columbus residents recover from the February 23rd tornado. This group believes a little sweat equity is better than writing a check.
It makes the people real, as opposed to if you just donate to a cause, and donate financially, it doesn't make it as real.
Each year, the volunteers stay prepared to help where they can.
Every year we do a trip, and as long as we're physically able, we'll continue.
That was our Stephanie Poole reporting there. The United Church of Christ Volunteer Group has assisted with 10 cleanup recovery projects in the U.S. ever since Hurricane Katrina.
Well, we are dry now, but we are monitoring the tropics for heavy rainfall that's on its way late this week on into the weekend. More on those rain details during my full forecast next.
Your first alert AccuWeather forecast with meteorologist Kendall Smith.
The showers and storms we saw earlier this afternoon have since moved out of our area, leaving us with mostly clear conditions. This is taking a look in downtown Columbus on our Alpha Insurance sky camera. It's currently 78 degrees, the dew point sitting at 73, so it is hot, it is muggy, and that's what we're seeing area-wide. Temperatures are sitting in the upper 70s, 75 in Amory, 78 in Tupelo, 79 in West Point, and we will just drop down into the low 70s for your overnight hours. Can't rule out the chance for an isolated shower or storm, but for the most part, most of us will stay dry this evening. So we will stay dry during your overnight hours. Just mostly cloudy skies are to be expected. And keep that cloud cover around for your overnight hours, and by the time you wake up Wednesday morning, more clouds are expected. But those rain chances do start to creep back in by lunchtime tomorrow, and we're going to keep a chance for an isolated pop-up shower or storm around for much of your Wednesday. However, the greatest chance to see rainfall will come for your Thursday, and that's going to see on Thursday afternoon. We can see some widespread shower and thunderstorm activity, and we're going to keep those rain chances around for your Thursday and into Friday as well. Check this out, Friday morning, more widespread showers and storms are to be expected. And you guessed it, for Saturday as well, more rain is on its way, and for Sunday as well. So lots of rainfall is expected over the next several days. How much could you expect to see in our area? Well, we are looking at anywhere from 2 to 4 inches in most places, a little bit less for down to our south, but it is going to be a soggy weekend in store for us. So make sure you have your umbrella handy this weekend, because you will need it. Tomorrow, temperatures are going to top out in the low 90s. It'll be one of the last days that we see the 90s for a while. 90 in Columbus, 95 down in Macon, and 94 in Starkville. So if you are headed to Starkville for the Mississippi State Super Regional, it's going to be a soggy one. First pitch is set for 2 p.m. on Saturday. Check this out. Temperatures are going to make it into the mid-80s, but we are expecting thunderstorms honestly throughout the game on Saturday. And if you're headed up to Fayetteville, Arkansas for Ole Miss Super Regional, first pitch is set for 11 a.m. on Saturday, just a little earlier first pitch time, but your rain chances don't look much better as temperatures will climb into the mid to upper 70s by the time the game is over, with showers and thunderstorms expected as well, unfortunately. So tomorrow, last day, we'll see the 90s for a little while. Can't rule out the chance to see an isolated shower or storm for your Wednesday, but then on Thursday through Saturday, we're going to ramp those rain chances back up with temperatures in the mid 80s and lows in the low 70s. But then we're going to see more rain by the start of next work week.
Welcome back. Today is the final farewell for the late Senator Thad Cochran. His second funeral was held at Northminster Baptist Church in Jackson. Courtney Ann Jackson was there and has more from today's service.
Years of service gave Senator Cochran many occasions to be received with honors. This final time earned by a life well lived. This service, a more personal account of Cochran, his children also participating in the final farewell.
I fought the good fight. I finished the race. I've kept the faith.
Much of that race for Cochran was miles from Mississippi and D.C., his bipartisan work shining through as colleague and friend Democrat Patrick Leahy traveled to share his memories, both comical.
Thad was a senator's senator. He even looked the part right out of central casting, all that distinguished white hair. Now, I gotta confess, I envied all that hair.
And sentimental.
And I had tears when he turned to me and he said that he and I quote him, have fought side by side with each other, sometimes face to face against each other, but always with friendship and respect.
And Republican Senator Richard Shelby.
I believe that I'm a better person because I knew Thad Cochran.
Cochran invested time and interest in his friends.
I was sworn in to be ambassador. He came to the Secretary of State's office to be there with me. And when I went before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, he came over and spoke on my behalf. He didn't have to do either one of those. He somehow did everything.
Again, beyond party lines, the Senate chaplain described Cochran as a man of faith and quoted the words of Shakespeare.
Life was gentle, and the elements so mixed in him that nature could stand up and say to all the world, this was a man.
All of us will miss our dear friend very, very much.
WCBI Sports with Tom Ebel.
For the first time since 2014, Ole Miss baseball is 2 wins away from a trip to Omaha. Up next for the Rebels, a SEC West rematch. Ole Miss putting in work today, preparing for its trip to Fayetteville for a battle with the Arkansas Razorbacks. Baum-Walker Stadium rivals almost any venue in terms of home field advantage, but the Rebels aren't worried about 10,000 plus yelling against them. The Rebels have won 3 out of 5 against Arkansas in 2019, and they're the only team to win a series inside Baum-Walker this season. Ole Miss is ready for the folks in Fayetteville to call the Hogs.
It's a good place for us, though. We're locked into every pitch. We love the atmosphere there. We love everybody against us, and I think we come together and we just play well.
It's definitely gonna be a challenge, but I'm confident in our team right now, the way that we're playing. We're going out there, we're having a lot of fun, and we're just trying to keep that up and see if we can win 2 games there and go to Omaha.
The good news is, the starting pitching looks like it's all guys we faced, and certainly the same bullpen. But again, I think there's too much that goes into that. I mean, to me, it's almost tongue-in-cheek. Yeah, that makes the scouting stuff a little easier, which it is. Less video maybe you have to watch and all that. But again, I know it's boring to hear, but it's more how you play. And we've had success because we've played well.
For the Razorbacks, it's about getting back at Ole Miss for its only series loss at home. The Razorbacks are fresh off cleaning house in its own regional, winning 3 straight, just like the Rebels. Head coach Dave Van Horn says the tournament can be a relief for SEC coaches to get away from other SEC foes, but in a situation like this, the committee does no favors.
You can throw the records out the window. It comes down to one weekend. Who's going to get the big hit? Who's going to make a pitch? Who's going to get a bloop single? Who's going to play defense? So I don't know. I don't think it's that big a deal that we're playing an SEC school. I don't think anybody in the SEC would prefer it.
We have the best fans in the country. They can change the game for us, and we really feel that on the field. And I think other teams, when they come into play here, can feel that. So. They've gotten us 3 times to R2 this year, so we'll be ready to get after them.
Super Regional schedules are set. Here's a look at Fayetteville. Ole Miss taking on Arkansas Saturday at 11 a.m. The Razorbacks fans are going to have to get up a little early on Saturday to prepare for the big game. ESPN2, you can catch the Rebels and Razorbacks. Sunday, 2 p.m., ESPNU. And, of course, Monday, if necessary, Game 3 at 3 p.m. on ESPN2. Then the Starkville Regional, Mississippi State taking on Stanford. You had to stay up for some Pac-12 After Dark to watch Stanford defeat Fresno State to win its own regional. Saturday at 2 p.m. in Starkville. That game will be on ESPN2. Sunday, 8 p.m. Another late first pitch in Dudy Noble Field. ESPNU, you can watch the game on Sunday, and that Game 3 on Monday if necessary will be at 6 p.m. Central Time. The game on ESPN2. We'll have much more from Mississippi State and its preps for Stanford coming up tomorrow here on WCBI Sports. Late last night, the Rebels shortstop Greg Kessinger gets selected in the 2nd round of the MLB draft to the Houston Astros. Kessinger was picked number 68, the 11th player under Mike Bianco to go in the first 2 rounds. Going today in the MLB draft, the SEC's all-time hits leader, Jake Mangum, heading to the Big Apple. The New York Mets drafting Mangum in the 4th round with pick 118. The senior center fielder became the first Mississippi State Bulldog to collect 100 hits in a season twice in his career. Day 2 of the MLB draft is complete. Some notable picks along with Jake Mangum. Ole Miss's Will Etheridge goes in the 5th round to the Colorado Rockies. The Rockies going Rebels again, drafting Will Golson last year. Thomas Dillard goes in the 5th as well to Milwaukee, taking him with the 163rd pick. draft class teaming up with Ethan Small. Cooper Johnson goes in the 6th to Detroit, and Mississippi State relief pitcher Colby White going 16 picks later to the Tampa Bay Rays. Best news for Ole Miss. Dual sport athlete Jerrion Ely pulls himself out of the draft, so he enrolls on campus at Ole Miss. And Mississippi State signee Ethan Hearn was selected by the Cubs in the 6th round. It's still to be determined whether he'll come to campus or sign with the Cubs. That's it for sports. Last look at your weather is next.
Well, tomorrow is the last day that we will see the 90s for a while, with temperatures dropping down into the mid-80s. But with that comes some rain chances. We are going to be wet Thursday through the weekend, and then we're going to have more rain coming up by the start of next week.
A lot of rain, huh?
A lot of rain. You asked for it. You asked for cooler temperatures and rainfall. Well, you are getting it.
And I actually did ask for the rain. I got to be careful what I ask for next time. Have a good night, everyone.